Buhay pa ba kayo? Buhay pa? Ah. Ay. Dear friends, good morning. Good morning po. Ano ho? Good morning. Alam naman natin when Pope Francis proclaimed the Jubilee Year of Hope this year, part of his proclamation was a prayer. He prayed for us. Pinapanalangin niya po tayo. Pope Francis knew that today there exist so many events that could make us think that the world is hopeless. The misery, the suffering, the injustice, the conflicts, the wars around us could dim our vision. And so his prayer was for us to be illumined, to be enlightened by the light of Christian hope as a message of God's love is addressed to all of us. And why? So that as a church, we might bear faithful witness to this message in every part of the world. So hope becomes our mission. So today po, we will listen to our brothers and sisters, our fellow pilgrims, who in the face of difficult situations which others might consider situations of hopelessness and despair, they discovered signs of hope. So let us converse with them, heart to heart.
Let us all welcome Miss Jessica Soho of GMA Integrated News, Mr. L.A. Tenorio of the Philippine Basketball Association, and Mrs. Edita Burgos of the International Coalition Against Enforced Disappearances. Palakpakan natin sila!
Another round of applause para po sa ating mga pinagpipitagang mga kapatid. Salamat. Hey. Ay, kamusta po kayo?
Kinakabahan.
Kinakabahan.
Nabaliktad po yung kapalaran ko, Cardinal. Ako na nga ni-interviewin.
Ayun, humanda ka. Hindi naman. And we're very glad that you accepted the invitation to be part of this conversation. We always say conversation in the spirit. And the heart is the locus, the place of the Spirit. So heart to heart. Simulan po natin kay Miss Jessica. Wow, kamusta po kayo?
Okay naman po,
Okay
Your
naman,
Eminence.
oho.
Kayo naman po, parang hindi tayo nagkita sa Vatican noong April.
Kasi iba ang suot mo dun eh.
Sayang.
Now we all know that Miss Jessica is a broadcast journalist sa GMA. Hindi ko na sasabihin since when. And
40 years ago na po, Cardinal.
40 years. Well, congratulations. Survivor siya.
Thunders.
And of course, multi-awarded. And she covered so many situations, including wars, sa boxing, etc. Miss Jessica, this is an event focused on hope. Ang isang tanong namin sa iyo ay ito, when you go to those areas, very critical areas of conflict, of wars. No, I think you covered ano ba sa Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. Po. And also the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In I think 2002.
Yes, no po. When you go to those places, how do you prepare yourself, and what are you looking for? No, you're looking for disaster. What are you looking for? No po.
Opo. Well, Your Eminence, sabi nga ho nila, ang mga journalists daw na katulad ko are the least hopeful of creatures kasi lagi naming hinahanap yung masamang balita, yung mga problema ng lipunan at ng mundo. Pero ang training ko kasi namin, pag inassign ka, you don't say no. Alam po ni Ma'am Edita yan. Every assignment is like a mission. Kagaya nyo rin po sa pagpapare. You don't say no. So when they give you an assignment, you just have to prepare and make the most out of it. Siyempre po, ang unang-una hong priority namin is safety. Because we know that no story is worth anybody else's life. And then when we go to the conflict areas, the war zones, you have to make sure that you're safe. Siyempre ho, una namin makikita doon yung firepower, all sorts of guns, lahat po ng mga human killing machines. But then, I always tell myself, and also yung reporters po that I trained when I was running our newsroom, that the story is in the people, yung effect po sa kanila. It's the same thing when we're covering disasters and calamities. I mean, you can only show so much floods and so much landslides. It's the effect on the people that's the story, how they're suffering and how they're trying to, live day to day, given such dire circumstances. So pag nasa mga calamity or war zones po kami, it's always the people. Tatanungin mo how they're coping, what are they going through. Yun po, yun ang importante. Yun po ang puso ng istorya.
Yung tao pa
Yun
rin.
Po.
Tao.
Tao po talaga.
Ang kwento ay nasa kanila.
Oho.
At sila ang kwento.
Oho.
No po. Paano ka naman naaapektuhan ng mga tao at ng kanilang kwento? Tao ka rin eh.
Oho. Ang problema ko po, ever since, I have so much empathy. Kasi I grew up in the province. Ang lola ko, nagtitinda ng karne sa palengke. That was my paternal lola. So maaga pa lang po, exposed na ako to all sorts of people. And then yung maternal lola ko po naman lives in a barrio in Agoo, La Union. Retired school teacher, trained by the Thomasites. Pero mahilig po siyang makimarites. Pupuntahan siya ng mga asawa ng mga magsasaka. Very early in the morning, kukwentuhan na siya. Yung pala, at pagdating po ng mga 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, yung pala ang pakay ho nila, uutang sila sa kanya ng bigas para may maisaing. So, I was exposed to this kind of background because I grew up in the province, Cardinal. But then I was also schooled Catholic from elementary to high school. So, kaya siguro ako napunta sa newscasting and reporting kasi bata pa lang ako, mahilig na akong magbasa. Yung mga bata dyan, magbasa kayo ha, basa-basa pag may time. Mahilig ako magbasa and then siguro they discovered that I can read very well in both Ilocano and English. So, kinukuha po akong mag-black rosary. Naliit ko pa lang. So, and then I discovered later on in life that my paternal grandfather, who was an alcoholic, was also a community prayer leader in Latin in their small barrio in Agoo, La Union. So, You can just, yung character po niya, di ba? Napaka-interesting. In Latin pa. So some of my cousins can actually say their prayers in Latin. Going back to prayers, so sabi nila, magaling magbasa tong batang to. Sige, sama natin. And then in high school, they also made me lector in masses. So, siguro po na-exposed po kasi ako early on dun sa ganong environment, Cardinal, and nadagdagan pa yon that I was in a Catholic school, which was good preparation before I went to UP, kung saan marami pong hindi naniniwala sa Diyos. so, medyo balansyado po yung upbringing ko siguro. Balansyado sa pagiging marites, sa pagiging madasalin, magaling magbasa and all, which is probably why I was destined to be where I am now. By God's grace din po siguro.
Wow. So, kita natin, no? Sabi mo kanina kasi, ang focus ng iyong pag-report ay mga tao.
Yes.
At ganun ang interest mo dahil lumaki ka bilang tao sa piling ng lola, mga marites,
Marami
mga
pa po.
teachers, na ganyan. No? Nahubog yung iyong pagkatao.
Yes.
Panalangin, ganun. At yan, ay yung pagkatao mo ay ngayon dala-dala mo rin. Sa
Cardinal, may dadagdag lang ho ako kasi I see a lot of young people. Kaway-kaway nga dyan, mga millennials at saka mga Gen Z. Short kwento lang. Kasi po, 2 Sundays ago, they made me the speaker in the university graduation in UP Diliman. Medyo big deal ho kasi yon. So ikina-stress ko. And I had to think about what I will tell the students, the graduates. And I told them, you have, kasi binalik ko dun sa concept ng loob at kapwa. Binanggit ko na po kay Cardinal Tagle to kanina. Sa definition po natin sa Tagalog, yung loob and kapwa are one and the same. You don't say maganda ang loob mo kung hindi ka naman mabuti sa iyong kapwa. Iba sa Western concept. Yung Western concept, yung sense of self mo is your own. Sa ating po mga Pilipino, magkadugtong. So I was building on that. I was telling the students, you have to learn how to deal with other people. Don't stick to your own circles and your own silos and listen to your own echo chambers. Matuto tayong makisalamuha, makipagkapwa. Kasi they're part of who we are. Parang sa UP, funded ho ng bayan yung tuition doon namin. Noong time ko, subsidized lang. Ngayon, libre na ho yung tuition nila. So they really have to evolve into citizens who care for their kapwa and their community. Nobody really lives in an island. Lahat po tayo magkadugtong-dugtong. Ang buhay at ang bituka.
Wow. So salamat ha. Hindi lang yan sa reporting, kundi sa buhay at kapwa. No, po, salamat. Loob na nakikipagkapwa.
Pasensya na po kayong haba ng mga sagot ko.
Hindi naman. Parang ano na yan, pwedeng humilya sa Sunday. Okay. Salamat ha, Anat. Ngayon naman po, alam ko marami pang pwedeng ikwento si Miss Jessica, no po. Pero meron din pong ikukwento ang ating isa namang kaibigan, no po, si Mr. L.A. Tenorio, no po. Yan. Kilala natin po siya bilang isang professional basketball player. No, he started his professional career in 2006, but before that, he attended the Ateneo de Manila, no po, University. Binubulong ko kasi nasa UST tayo, ano po. At kaharap po natin ang isang galing sa UP, no po. May pagkamarites po tayo. Pero in 2023, 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. Opo.
Yes.
LA.
Yes.
Anong...
First of all po, no, gusto ko lang pong bumati sa inyong lahat. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Of course, gusto ko po magpasalamat kay Cardinal Tagle for giving me this opportunity. No? Sobrang I'm always excited to do this, no, and to share my story. No? And to all my Dominican brothers and sisters, good morning po sa inyong lahat.
Ecumenical siya, ecumenical.
May mga Jesuita po ba dito?
Oo nga, no? May Jesuita ba rito?
May mga Jesuita ba dito? Good morning po sa inyong lahat. Good morning, Cardinal. Yes, actually, I was diagnosed stage 3 back in 2023, Feb 22. If I'm not, hindi ko po makakalimutan yun because it was a Ash Wednesday. No? It was an Ash Wednesday when I was diagnosed stage 3 cancer, no? Colon cancer. So, yun. Actually, just like Miss Jessica po, my story, pretty much the same, no? I came from province, Nasugbu, Batangas. No? I came from a family rin po. Galing din po ako sa pamilya. My parents, nagtitinda rin po ng karne sa palengke. Kaya ang bahay namin katabi po ng palengke sa Nasugbu po ako. And doon po ako nagsimula. No? And then nagbakasakali lang po kami na magpunta dito sa Manila when my dad worked in Saudi as a driver ng isang private car. Nagpunta po ako dito sa Manila mainly because yung lolo ko po, my grandfather, the father of my mom, pangarap po niya na magkaroon ng isang pare sa pamilya. So yun po talagang story ko. So my parents brought me to a Catholic school here in Manila, which is Don Bosco, Makati, mga Salesiano. Mga Salesian ba tayo dyan? Yun, nice, sister. Yan po. So, yun po ang reason kung bakit po ako pumunta dito sa Manila.
Para magpari.
Para magpari po. So, nagpunta po ako ng Don Bosco, nag-aral po ako sa Don Bosco, Makati, prep to grade 6 po ako. And siguro dahil nahihilig po talaga ako sa basketball nung bata pa ako, kahit sa province. Yun lang naman po ang pastime dati ng mga Pilipino. It's either taguan sa labas o patintero sa labas, basketball na yung susunod. So yun lang po yung ginawa ko. And then, nag-try po ako sa Don Bosco, Makati. And then every time may recess at lunch, nagkaroon lang po ng opportunity. Nakita po ako ng isang coach, pinag-tryouts po ako. But bata pa lang po ako, nagsaserve na po ako sa simbahan. I was a sacristan for the longest time. From grade school up to bago po ako mag-college. So, yun po yung naging story ako para lang po sa mga susunod. So, and then nag-transfer po ako ng San Beda because of basketball nung high school.
Benedictines.
Benedictines naman. So, I was palipat-lipat po ako ng mga Catholic school. Nagbabakasakali pa rin po yung lolo ko na maging pari ako. And then, nalipat naman po ako sa mga Jesuit nung college.
Jesuit.
So, yun po yung naging story ko. Yun po ako. And then, natigil lang po ako. The funny thing po, natigil po ako mag-sakristan. Kasi nung nandito po ako sa Manila, nagstay po kami sa Baclaran. So, Baclaran Church po kami, Redemptorist, Our Lady of Perpetual.
Redemptorist naman. Talaga naman.
So, talagang po ako. Yun lang po yung mga nangyari sa akin. Nagsaserve po ako doon. And funny thing, kaya po ako natigil. Naglalaro na po ako ng basketball. I was a varsity already on Don Bosco and then in San Beda. And then transferring to Ateneo. Natigil po ako because of one incident na siguro napahiya lang ng sobra. It was a simbang gabi. And yung sotana ko, naiwan ko po sa bahay. No? So, I was holding the crucifix. Ako po yung naghahawak ng crucifix. Ganun po yun. And may sotana po doon sa
Sacristy.
Sacristy. Yan, may sutana. And siguro napahaba lang mo, mahaba po talaga na sobra. So, nadapa po ako sa altar. So, after nun, di na po ako nagpakita sa parish church namin. So, medyo, kasi nakikilala na rin po ako doon sa sa lugar namin sa Baclaran. So, medyo napayain. After po nun, nag-dorm na po ako sa bandang Katipunan. So, yun po yung naging story ko. Yun po yung kinalakihan ko. And I'm very, very thankful po to my parents na minulat po ako sa ganong sitwasyon. I'm a very, hindi naman sinasabing religious, but my parents halaga na minulat kami sa ganong buhay.
At nung nagkaroon ka na ng itong stage 3 colon cancer, yung bang faith life, yung prayer, may naging papel ba yun sa pagharap mo sa crisis na ito?
Actually, napakalaking bagay po. Yun po yung pinanghawakan ko po talaga when I found that I had a cancer. No? Actually, nung nalaman ko po na nagkaroon ako ng cancer, I never questioned our Lord. No? Hindi ko po question kung bakit ako binigyan. And katulad po na sinabi ko sa inyo, Feb 22 po, I was diagnosed with cancer. And the week before, we just won a championship so I was really playing in a high level. And then the week after, yun na yung nangyari sa akin. But again, kaya ko po nakwento kwento ko muna po yung past ko is because leaning towards this situation or yung nangyari po sa akin na experiences. Siguro hinanda po ako ng ating Panginoon doon sa nangyari sa akin noong 2023. My whole life, I was surrounded with people na sobra po talagang faith. No, I am a devotee of a lot of churches. No, name it. Manawag, Antipolo, lahat po yan. Nandyan. So, siguro because of that, because of my faith, pinanghawakan ko po yun. Hindi po ako natakot. Siyempre may takot, but in the end of the day, after my prayers every day, hindi ko po question at hindi ko po pumasok sa isip na kung ano man ang mangyari sa akin. Parang yun yung kinakatakot ko. No, hindi po. Because of my faith, yun po talaga yung nag-save sa akin. Yun po yung masasabi ko. I always tell this and I always tell this story because, really, yun lang po on that kind of situation, yun lang po talaga ang kaya natin panghawakan kasi Diyos lang po talaga ang makapagsabi ko ano po ang mangyayari the next day. Di naman po natin alam kung magre-respond talaga yung katawan ko with all the treatment. Diba? So, yun lang po ang ginawa ko. Dasal lang. Hinawakan ko po yung faith na yun, yung experience ko growing up. No? Binalikan ko po talaga lahat yun. Lahat po, pinuntahan ko. And tinabi ko nga po sa inyo, in the middle of my treatment also, I went to Our Lady of Lourdes. Talagang kahit right after my treatment, bumiyahe po ako nung gabi to go to Our Lady of Lourdes. Pagdating ko doon, umaga, 2 days straight, ginawa ko po lahat ng mga dapat gawin doon. Prosesyon ng rosary, prosesyon ng Eucharistic. And ni isang pagod, wala po ako naramdaman.
Wow.
So talagang dahil alam ko po sa sarili ko na ang purpose ko kaya ako pumunta doon is, not because humingi ako ng panalangin. Of course, gusto kong gumaling. But mainly because kung ano man ang mangyari sa akin, yung family ko, sana huwag niyang pabayaan. Yun lang naman. Diba? Yun lang naman yun. But again, in the end, really my faith really saved me talaga with that experience.
And now you're cancer-free.
Yes, thank God. Yes. Nalabanan po natin yung cancer. And 8 months, no? 6 months po ako nag-treatment. on the 8th month, nakabalik na po ako ng basketball professionally again, playing on a high level. And until last week, maglaro po. So praise God po talaga.
At pinagdadasal mo rin yung kalaban ninyong team.
Opo, pinagdadasal ko po. Sabi ko po, palakasan po kami sa taas. Pero okay na po ako.
Maraming salamat,
Thank you
LA,
po,
sa
Cardinal.
testimony mo. Ha?
Thank you.
So, from Miss Jessica, who listens to people's stories and enters other people's miserable situation, to LA, who himself underwent in a very personal way, physical way, emotional, mental way, a health crisis. Punta naman tayo ngayon sa isang nanay. Sa isang nanay. Ay, Tita Edith, Ayan, si Mrs. Edith Burgos,
Yes.
Yeah. Matagal ko nang kakilala si Tita Edith. Nagulat ako na nagkita kami ulit ngayon. Beauty pa rin siya. Kita nyo naman. Hindi kumukupas. Si Tita Edith is the mother of Jomar Burgos, who disappeared in 2007.
Yes, Cardinal.
And up to now, we do not know where he is. So she's si Edith po, Tita Edith, has a doctorate in education, and she is a member of the secular order of Discalced Carmelites. So, Carmelites...
Meron po bandang Carmelites dito?
Meron din Carmelites, And now, she is, because of her experience as a mother of enforced disappeared person, she has been elected president of the International Coalition Against Enforced Disappearances this year.
Yes,
This year. So, Tita Edith, you are with family here. Nandito po. Mahirap ito sa akin. Mahirap na...
Baka gusto niyo po ako ang magtanong sa inyo.
Oo nga parang nababaliktad, Ba't ba akong umiyak? Kayo yata ang dapat umiyak. Pero, paano ho ba yan? Karanasan ng isang nanay.
Hindi po madali. Alam niyo po, Cardinal, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Hindi naman po ako umiiyak every minute. Pero hindi ho madali ang maging nanay ng isang desaparecido. Sa Tagalog po, ang tawag namin sa enforced disappearance, sa pilitang iwinala. At ang isang karakteristik po noon, ang nagwala ay state forces o kaya ahente ng gobyerno o di kaya pinayagan ng gobyerno na walain yung tao. Kaya kakaiba po. The question is, how does it feel to be a mother of a disappeared? Alam niyo po, Cardinal, the only way I can describe it is you are in a constant state of suspended anticipation. Parang hindi mo alam kung anong mangyayari. Makikita mo ba o hindi mo makikita? Totohanan ba ang hinaharap mo o hindi katotohanan? Kasi marami pong pinipresent sa amin na hindi naman katotohanan. Will you pray not only for the disappeared, but for the perpetrators? So, conflict po, ang hirap. I remember, it was a Saturday. Alam niyo, Cardinal, 5 na po ang anak ko. 10 po ang aking apo. Tuwing weekend, nandiyan sila sa amin para malibre yung dinner nila. Ako ang magluluto sa bahay.
Nanay at lola pa rin.
When Jonas was taken, it was a Saturday. Sabi niya, ma'am, labas lang ako, meron lang akong kikitain. Mamayang gabi po yung lechon ko, ha? Lechon na pinirito. So sabi ko, sige, mamaya. And he kissed me sa forehead. Ganun siya nagpapaalam, hahalik dito. That was the last time I saw him. 18 years ago na po yun. Hanggang ngayon, hindi pa namin alam kung ano talaga nangyari. Maraming nagsabing nakita siya, kinaladkad siya mula sa restaurant kung saan siya kumakain. Ang nakikita niyo po dyan sa litrato, yan po yung aking apo na anak ni Jonas. 2 years old nung kinuha si Jonas. Ngayon, she's already 20, first year college. Ganong katagal. Yung experience po namin ng mga desaparecidos, parang kakaiba po kasi you anticipate that you will find him kahit katawan na lang, kahit buto na lang, pero ang dasal mo is, sana hindi siya. But when you see the tortured body, kasi ako po, madalas pumunta kami sa probinsya, pag may nakitang katawan, sasabihin, Mrs. Burgos, baka si Jonas yon. Takbo kami ng anak ko, titignan namin. And when you see the body, you cannot even rejoice na hindi anak ko yon. Bakit? Because the body is concrete proof of the cruelty of other human beings. Makita mo, wala ng kuko, wala ng ngipin, luwa na yung mata, and all that. And you say, Lord, bakit ganito ka-cruel ang tao? Kayang gawin ito sa kapwa. But you cannot even condemn the perpetrator because you know, anak din sila ng Diyos. So, yun yung conflict na hindi madaling harapin. And Cardinal, you just mentioned I was elected president of the International Coalition Against Disappearances. Alam niyo po, that was farthest from my mind. Ako po, simple public school teacher. Eventually, I taught in other colleges. When I retired, nasa graduate school na po ako nagtuturo. Kaya simple lang po, mahiyain ako. Kaya hindi ko iniisip na mangyayari sa buhay ko ang ganon. The International Coalition Against Enforced Disappearance has more than 40 members from different countries from all continents. So parang yun i-coordinate. And all of them have stories of torture. Signs of hope. Yung una po namin ginawa, siyempre ang option lang ng pamilya is to search for Jonas. April 28, 2007, 18 years. Lahat po ng legal remedies inavail ng Burgos family. The only option of a family of a disappeared is to find the disappeared or at least know the truth. Malaman mo man lang kaya siya kinuha kasi armed siya. But my son chose to be, he also studied in San Beda. He wanted to be a priest. Ako, tuwan-tuwa po ako kasi ako nung bata, gusto ko pong maging Carmelite nun sa loob po ng monasteryo. But my father said, sa lahat naman ng kongregasyon, ba't yan ang gusto mo? Walang mga silbi yan, nakaluhod lang, dasal lang ng dasal. Ganun po noon panahon, di ba? And since I was the eldest girl, I had to take care of my younger brothers. Wala namang mga katulong noon. So, I was very happy when Jonas said he wanted to be a priest. He went to San Carlos, San Jose, and he stayed only for 2 months. Nung umuwi sa bahay, bigla na lang dumating, sabi niya, Mami, umuwi na po ako. Bakit? Mamamatay po ako sa gutom doon. Pero iba na po ang seminaryo ngayon. Ano po?
Ano po? Ngayon ho, pumapasok para kumain.
Si Jonas po, pumunta sa San Beda. Ay sabi ko, may pag-asa pa, pwedeng bumalik. Pero na-organize siya. And namulat. Then he said, ang pinakakawawa pala sa sektor sa Pilipinas ay mga magsasaka. So, Mami, I will shift. I'll take up agriculture so I can serve. And he graduated with honors sa, agriculture. And he started teaching farmers around our farm. Meron po kaming bukid, doon ako nakatira ngayon. And he would teach them the organic way of planting rice, mga triple root stocking ng mga mangga, and all that. And dahil, sabi ng mga sundalo sa kampong katabi namin, Camp Texon, ay nako, anak ito na may impluensya. Kasi ang tatay niya kahit papaano may impluensya dahil publisher ng We Forum Malaya. Ba't niya pinili maging magsasaka? Conclusion, NPA yan, komunista. So he was labeled. And we think that that was the reason why he was taken. Of course, he organized farmers, he helped and all that. Pero po si Jonas, 5 years old pa lang po, ang pagkain niya sa lamesa, dadali niya sa kapitbahay. Ibibigay niya kasi yung kapitbahay namin di pa nakatikim ng pork chop. Uuwi siya yung pagkain ng kapitbahay, ang dala niya. Sasabihin niya, masarap pala yung maitim na sabaw. Toyo. 5 years old pa lang yan. 10 years old or earlier, lahat ng dumadaan na ambulant vendors, magtataho, tinapadaing, aabangan niya yan. Manong, butas ng tsinelas mo, palitan ko. Kukunin niya tsinelas ng daddy niya, ipapalit doon. Pagdating ng tatay niya, lagot. Ako ang pagagalitan. And he would always say, di po ba, sabi talaga ni Mami, kung sino ang may kulang, dagdagan. So that was how he grew up. When he was a farmer, he would always come home naked, wala na yung t-shirt, signature t-shirt galing New York sa lola niya. Pag sinabi ko, saan na naman shirt, bakit ka na hubad? Kawawa naman si Kat Daning doon, walang damit eh. Iniwan na. That was how he was. So, nung winala siya, sa pilitan dinukot, inisip ko, ano ang dapat kong isipin para maipaglaban ko ang anak ko? So I went through a process of introspection. Ano ang motibasyon ng anak ko when he did all these things, help farmers? Maybe he joined the underground movement. Ay, hindi ko ma-confirm yun. Maybe he was a member of this violent or rebellious group. But I knew that his motivation was love. He loved those who were oppressed, yung may kulang. Knowing that, only a mother can know the heart of a son, naisip ko din, kung ang memory ng anak ko ay dapat hindi mawala, I should also be motivated by love. So, that helped me occupy a higher moral level. Kaya kaya ko pong makipagsabayan sa mga general na may mga botones-botones dyan. Kaya ko din humarap sa mga urban poor kasi alam ko kasama ko sila. By knowing your motivation, it is easier for you to deal with others. And sabi ko, syempre, hustisya, hustisya, hustisya. Ang galing ko na po magganyan. Dati, sabi nila, when your fingers are closed, you cannot give, you cannot receive. Dapat daw ganon. Pero para sa akin, it's a way of convincing myself that I am doing the right thing. And for me, the way I live now is the way that the Lord has brought. Nguyen said, Henry Nguyen, my favorite inspirational, that the will of God can be seen in the people He puts across your path and in the circumstances of your life. Ako po dinala sa komunidad ng mga victims of human rights. Do you know the case of Sherlyn and Karen, the 2 UP students who were disappeared? The witness that resulted in the conviction of a general and 2 other officers, he was able to witness to say that these 2 girls were tortured by these soldiers. Then later on, siya din pala kasi dinisappear. 18 months siyang tinorture. Flogged every day with barbed wire. Fed bones while he was caged inside the cage of dogs for 18 months. And virtual slave in the farm of a general. But when he filed a case of illegal detention, he lost the case. So I was there during the promulgation, and he was hysterical. But I was able to calm him down just by hugging him. The mothers of the two UP students learned about the torture their children underwent, and I was asked to be present just to hold their hands. So we are sent to these circumstances because there is something good that you can do to find something good in what's happening. Hindi po madali ang makausap po ang mga biktima ng sapititang pagkawala. But because I was sent there, maybe the Lord thinks that there's something that I can do for them. The signs of hope, alam niyo yung lahat ng legal processes, they were not successful. The Supreme Court ruled that Jonas was abducted. The Philippine Army was ordered to release him. Wala naman pong compliance, and nobody has been punished or cited in contempt. The rules, the laws in the Philippines do not work unless the institutions cooperate. The people who are supposed to protect us, ang perception ko, yung pag naka-uniforme, mas natatakot po ako kasi sa amin, sila yung persecutors. But on the parallel, we have a Cardinal Tagle, whom I did not know from Adam. When I went to his office in Cavite to look for my son in the camp, sabi niya, hintayin niyo ako, magmimisa lang ako. After the Mass, he accompanied me to the camp para makapasok. That was the first time I met the Cardinal. Hindi niya po ako kilala, but he accompanied me. So on the parallel, the Lord is so present in the people who help you. There are nuns. Right now, I have a perjury case filed against me by General Esperon because we filed a petition for the writ of amparo to protect the human rights defenders in the Visayas and Mindanao. Dahil ganon, ang retaliation nila, nag-file sila ng case against us, a group of us, perjury. Again, on the parallel, we have lawyers who offer their help for free. We have nuns, mga madre po ang kasama kong bodyguard, mga madre po ang mga kasama kong tuloy-tuloy na lumalakad. So now, yes, I am a mother of a desaparecido, but I am also a mother who loves. So, marami pong institutions and people who will cause you to lose hope. But then again, the Lord provides him. His presence is felt through the family, through people like Miss Jessica who exposes, and the witnessing of LA here. So, okay na rin. Balansa na po ang buhay ko. And if I am taken, okay lang po, because we welcome death because that's the time we will see God.
Yes, wow, nako. Nako. Hindi ko po inaasahan yung ganito, no? But just to bring to parang close this section as we move to another section, one thing that ties their sharing is the role of family. No po. The closest persons to us are the family members. No, how Jessica is what she is, no, to the people that she encounters and reports on because of her upbringing and her family. No, si LA, no, itong pati yung panalangin sa Diyos na kung sana gumaling ako, pero kung hindi yun ang pinakamahalaga, kumakapit ako for my family. No? And sana yung pamilya niya ay maalagaan. The way his family also took care of him. And of course, si Tita Edith, nanay na nanay. No po. at yung puso ng nanay that was able to penetrate the heart of her missing son. Love. And that love guides her still in her search for justice, not only for her son, but for many other people. Love keeps her going, and love keeps her gentle and beautiful. No?
Cardinal, dugtungan ko na lang po.
Opo.
Very, very short lang. Before, when I said, I seek justice, ang isip ko, gaganti ako. Dapat yung kumuha sa anak ko, magbayad sa preso. Before, that was then. But now it's a different perspective. Justice is not about revenge. It's about making sure that nobody else suffers. The suffering you go through, ang hirap. And if that's what you're thinking about justice, to ensure that nobody else suffers, then you're motivated by love. While seeking justice.
Yes. Justice and love meet. Justice and mercy meet. Maraming salamat po sa inyong tatlo. 3 wonderful witnesses of hope in our time. Salamat po. Let's give them a big hand.
Our next guests will share with us how they found hope in accompaniment. Let us welcome Miss Janelle Masamong of Santa Maria Goretti Parish, Mr. Rene Cruz with Miss Fine Barbin, and Sister Marilu Baaco of Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul with Mr. Anthony Amak. Palakpakan po natin silang lahat.
Welcome po sa inyo. Welcome po to the second segment of the heart-to-heart talk. No po. Yan. Narinig nyo naman ba yung the first, and we hope that many of our participants will be equally inspired by your sharing. Ang focus po natin sa part na ito is accompanying people, especially those in very unique, particular situations in life, is a manifestation of hope and awakens hope in the people that are accompanied and makes those who accompany others people of hope. No po. Simulan po natin ang ating sharing kay Miss Janelle Masamong.
Yes po.
Si Janelle is a social worker and a community organizer at Santa Maria Goretti Parish. Last July, the feast of Saint Santa Maria Goretti, I celebrated Mass in her shrine in Italy, in Nettuno. In Nettuno, yes. And she works with and for the homeless. Dito po sa Manila. So Janelle, bakit pinili mo ba yan? O sa dami naman ng ministries, pwede kang collector, pwede kang lector, pwede kang youth minister, kasi youth ka pa, ganyan. Pinili mo ba yung sa ministry to the homeless? Kinaladkad ka ba dyan? O ano ba? Paano nangyari yan?
Actually po, hindi po siya part ng aking original plan. Ang gusto ko po sana ay maging medical doctor. Pero po, nung nag-college po ako, yung napasa ko po sa UP is social work. Sabi ko, after first year, mag-shift na lang po ako. Pero nag-pandemic, hindi po ako nakapag-shift. And the second year, the same po, ang gusto ko pong course, hindi po tumatanggap ng shifties or transferees. So since kalahati na po ako ng social work, sabi ko, tapusin ko na. Kasi kalahati na ako eh. Pero at that time po, honestly, hindi ko pa gaanong na-appreciate yung profession. Until the fourth year, so fourth year po ay internship. So dalawa po ang aming internship. Yung first po, I worked with the EJK families. And sa second internship ko po, doon ko na po nakilala ang persons in street dwelling situations or PSDS.
Yan. Ano naman ang paano ka naaapektuhan ng ministry na ito? You as a person, paano ka naaapektuhan?
Well, sa akin po, I think it's an honor na to work with the PSDS. Sila po, sa tingin ko, ay ironically, the most visible yet invisible na sector. Visible po kasi sila po nasa labas lang ng gate, minsan nakaharang sa sidewalk, very visible po sila. Pero, at the same time, invisible kasi nga po, they are victims of indifference and apathy. So, lahat po ng problems ng PSDS, minsan po nakaka-overwhelm kasi multi-dimensional po yung homelessness. Pero I work with the Vincentian missionaries ng Adamson University and the Daughters of Charity po ng Hospicio and Santa Isabel. And nag-establish po kami ng NGO. Ang pangalan po is Kasama Ka, which means kaagapay ng mga sandigan ng masang nasa kalsada. So we all work together, not to merely help the PSDS, but to help the PSDS help themselves.
Yan. Ang ganda nung sinabi niya, no? Sabi niya, I feel honored to be in this ministry. Sana lahat tayo ganun, no? Hindi yung laking problema nito. Pupunta pa lang sa ministry, ano na bang problema ito? No, ito, I am honored, no, to be with them. No, ganda. At ano naman yung mga siguro meron kang lessons of hope that you learned from them?
Yes po. Actually, yun po ang gusto kong i-emphasize din ngayon, that I think rather than us evangelizing the poor, it is the poor who evangelized me.
Yes.
Opo. So marami po akong natutunan sa kanila. I realized na kahit sila po ay sinasabihan ng mga tao na wala nang pag-asa yan, pero they are, I think, the real and the true pilgrims of hope. Pilgrims dahil super fluid nga po ng community. Palipat-lipat po sila. Pero they have so much hope to share. Opo. Share ko lang po, kasi ako po ay, ang program po namin, ako po ay nakikipamuhay sa kanila. So ako po ay nangangalakal, kasama sila. Ako po ay pumipila din sa feeding programs, kasama sila, at naliligo kung saan sila naliligo. Minsan po, natutulog din po sa kalye with them. Isang beses po, ako po ay natutulog sa kalye, naatrasan ho ako ng motor. Siguro ho, dahil maliit po kasi ako, hindi ako nakita. Naatrasan ho ako ng motor.
Sabi mo kasi, visible na invisible.
Invisible po kasi din ako. So yun po, ako po ay naatrasan ng motor. Tapos, medyo may scar po ako dito sa likod dahil doon. Sa labas po ito ng Goretti Parish. So ako po ay pumunta sa loob. So nilagyan po ng parish staff ng ice yung sugat. Tapos sakto po pumasok si Father Jason. Sabi niya, anong nangyari sa'yo? Sabi ko na ano po ako ng motor. Sabi ni Father Jason, gusto ko raw bang ireklamo ho namin sa barangay. Sabi ko, Father, wag na. Kasi baka yung PSDS naman ang pag-initan at paalisin kung saan po kami natutulog o tumatambay. Only to find out po, kasi after ko mag-apply ng ICE, bumalik po ako sa kanila, sa mga PSDS. Ang bungad po sa akin, sabi nila, inaway na namin yung nag-ano sa'yo, yung driver. So, ang point ko lang po is, the people I serve, sila po mismo ang nagtatanggol po sa akin.
Ayan, ha? So sila ang ang pag-asa mo.
Yes, sila po ang pag-asa ko.
Talaga, ha? Wow. Isa lang yan sa siguradong marami pang kwentong kaya niyang ikwento, no? Pero maraming salamat, ha? Ang ganda nung simula mo pa lang. It's an honor to serve them. And now, they are the ones evangelizing us, no? About hope and many other things. Minsan po kasi ang ating perspective, tayo ang magtuturo sa kanila. Tayo ang magpapaganda ng buhay nila. Tayo ang pinagmumulan ng lahat ng kabutihan sa kanila. Pero sabi mo nga, no, pag nakipamuhay ka sa kanila, ikaw pala ang matututo sa kanila.
Po. I think dahil hope po springs from encounters.
Yes. Yan. At yun din ang kaninang nabanggit, no? Persons. Encounters with persons. Ayan. Salamat ha, Janelle. Babalikan ka namin maya-maya. No, po. Ngayon naman po, pupunta tayo kay Mr. Rene Cruz. No, po. He is a catechist, no? But he is hearing impaired. He is a deaf catechist. Kaya meron tayong kasama po si Ate Fin, no po, na interpreter. Ini-interpret ni Ate Fin yung sinasabi ko kay Rene. At yung sasabihin naman ni Rene, i-interpret ni Fin para sa atin, no po, lahat. Si Rene, I think nung bumisita si Pope Francis, no, Rene was one of those who approached Pope Francis, who greeted Pope Francis. Isang grupo sila ng hearing impaired, no po. So welcome, Rene. Welcome, no, Rene. Yeah. Palakpakan natin si Rene. Ay, hindi gan. Kayo talaga. Sinabi ng hearing impaired. Yan. Sinadya ko yun para makita natin yung ating mga reaction, hindi para doon sa tao minsan sa ating sarili. Ulitin natin. Wala pa akong instruction. Sabi ko na nga ba napakahirap talaga makipag-usap. Mahirap makipag-usap sa nakakarinig. Rene, what inspired you to become a catechist for your community?
I'm a deaf. I got sick when I was young, about 1 year old, 1.5-year-old. But I accepted that. I never knew words. I don't know them when I was young. But I was mainstreamed with hearing children. I was with them, mentally challenged children, blind. But we were separated in groups. From grades 1 to 4, I was trained to speak orally. I learned how to lip read, but it's very difficult. From grade 5 to 6, I was also mainstreamed now with hearing, but it's so hard to communicate with them. I just copy them. I don't know the meaning of the words. I started lip reading, but it's really hard. And my father brought me a book so that I can read. But I don't understand what I read. Then in high school, I realized that I was deaf because that school is a deaf school. So I learned sign language. Why? I'm like them. I'm a deaf person. Some are teasing me. So I reflect on this. I accepted that. Hearing will bully me, but deaf will just be patient and be silent about it. When in college, I entered Philippine Women's University. All of them are hearing. I'm the only one deaf, and I have an interpreter. Plus, 1 year I gave up because it's too much for me. It was difficult. I'm just alone. I'm just the only deaf, and I was supported by an organization. I went to the seminary, OLAS, Our Lady of the Angels, for a year, but it was difficult also. I said, I better give up. So I went to COP College. There are deaf also, students. So we travel together, we are together. So it was a long years. After 4 years, I entered Catholic Ministry for Deaf People. Before, I don't know about religion. But when I went to church at St. Joseph every Sunday, during the Mass, with my family, and my children knows how to sign. They use before communication, the use of communication is through signs. I help them and they help me. I was exposed also to other people. It's good to communicate, but I should understand it. And then, that's...
Salamat, ha.
Thank you.
Paki-translate naman.
Thank you. Welcome, Cardinal.
Is he the only deaf in the family?
In the family, we have two. My wife and I are deaf. We have 4 children. They know how to interpret for me.
So the 4 children are hearing.
Are hearing.
And they know sign language.
Yeah, they know how to sign. But before, when they were children, I cannot communicate with them because they still don't know how. So I said, it's best that I teach them. And now they are good, skilled in interpreting.
Wow. Tignan ninyo ho, we can understand in his situation, his children, found it difficult to communicate with him and his wife because they did not know sign language yet at the time. Pero even in families where they can both, all of them can hear and speak, meron pa rin communication gap. Yan ang So they are really a sign of hope to us. No? They have to hurdle so much difficult situations just to communicate. At yun namang ibang kayang mag-communicate, ayun. Now, one other question, Rene, does your being a catechist to other hearing impaired people, does that boost their confidence and their hope? No?
Yes. I studied catechism. Before I rejected it, but a sister from the U.S., Sister Rita, told me to be one, but I said, no, I don't know, I can't, I don't know how. But the sister said, Yes, you try, you try. You can do that. You can sign and you know how to understand. Even if it's you know little, you will be skilled later. So I understood. I tried to read, I tried to write, I tried to work with pictures, teach them using pictures, visuals. And when they reply and say yes, then, although it's not easy, but it's really good. So I try to explain so that I can open their mind and their hearts and to grow more with faith. In high school, elementary and high school, it's the same. I was in SPED. Deaf teach other deaf. They do that. Oh, you're nervous. He's nervous. Okay. It's difficult to try and to meet others. But when I'm being taught and explained what to do, then I can explain it to them too.
Wow. Don't be nervous.
Don't be.
You are among friends. Oh, let us give him ano? Ginagalit ninyo ako, ha? Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ngayon po, we turn naman to another tandem. No? Sister Marilu Baaka? Baako. Baako. Pakicheck ho yung pangalan. No? Sister Marilu Baako, Daughters of Charity, no
Yes.
po, and Anthony Amak, no po. So Vincentian, kanina ang daming na banggit na iba-ibang religious communities. Ngayon naman we have the Vincentian family. No, they are ministering to people living with HIV and AIDS, no po. And they belong to the Vincentian family. When I was still here in Manila, I got to know about their ministry. Nabisita ko pa sa Hospicio de San Jose. At kanina nung nakita ko siya, sabi ko parang nakita ko na to Pero maitim pa ang buhok niya noon. No? Pare-pareho na tayong bumuputi ang buhok. Ano po. So, Sister and Anthony, no po. Ano ang, like the hearing impaired, like those displaced and without homes, no po. We know for the longest time, people with HIV or AIDS have also been considered parang major outcast, no po. Outcast. So, can you tell us about this ministry, how it led you to this ministry, and how is it becoming really a vehicle of hope for them, but also for you who are ministering, no po. Sister.
Salamat po, Your Eminence, sa pag-imbita sa amin dito sa PCNE. Kasama ko si Tone na matagal na rin po siya sa ministry. Ako po, na-assign ako sa ministry noong 2022 lang. So bago po ako dito, wala din ako sa medical field. So mayroon lang po akong daladala nung tinanggap ko yung mission na ito ay yung giftedness ko po sa pag-oorganisa. Inaral ko po muna ang kanilang kultura. So katulad ng sinabi ni Vincent sa School of the Poor, the Son of God, in the School of the Son of God, we should learn. So, at saka no amount of human distress is foreign to us once we are called for a certain mission. So I took the challenge. I lived with them. I ate with them, yung typical na kung ano sila. I studied their culture, and then, of course, the languages na ginagamit nila. And then, unti-unti akong sumasawsaw sa buhay nila. And then, kasi po, nag-pandemic yun. And then, pagkatapos ng pandemic, kailangan naming i-revive uli yung community na organize na noon nila Sister Ami. Yun po yung nakita nyo sa hospisyo. Kailangan naming i-revive. So, hindi lang po yung, siyempre, ang nasa organisasyon, sa community ay mga tao. So, kailangan na yung mga tao ma-invite uli na bukas na uli ang community para tumanggap ng para buuin uli na maging active na sa ministry. Although nung pandemic time po, talagang yung madre ang pumupunta sa mga bahay-bahay po ng mga PLSIB. Kasi po, ipagpaumanhin po ninyo na very confidential po ito, ang mga usaping ito kasi dahil po sa stigma. Tapos, mayroon din po kaming agreement with, non-disclosure agreement with the Department of Health. So kaya, and then of course with the community, dahil hindi sila disclosed sa kanilang families. Hanggang ngayon po, malakas ang stigma. Kung makikita nyo po sa dyaryo, sa news, 57 cases per day, at mas younger pa ng 15 years old ang nagkakaroon through sexual contact, at saka siyempre yung pag mga sanggol, mother and child. So, and then po, of course, sila ang evangelizer ko muna. They evangelize me so that I can accompany them. So, more on witnessing po ito. Kasi, ang lumalapit po sa amin, ang ini-invite po namin ay newly diagnosed. Newly diagnosed. Pag newly diagnosed po sila, may depression po yan, may anxiety, may self-blaming. Lahat na po nung isisi nila sa sarili nila, mayroon sila nun. Ang program po ng Daughters of Charity sa PLSIB ay naka-center siya sa bio, socio-medico at saka spiritual. Pero ang focus po namin talaga, psycho-spiritual, psycho-social spiritual program. Yung other aspects, inaano na po namin yun, nire-refer sa mga partners. So ano po yung talagang dapat daladala ng isang sister sa ganitong klase ng mundo o ng isang volunteer. Si Tony po kasi talagang nililive out niya yung Vincentian spirituality. Witnessing po, less words, more on deeds. Ano yun? To show the compassion of Christ. Mercy and compassion. So, we are being taught, we taught ourselves as Vincentian servants the qualities of the Vincentian servant. Na we must be gentle. We are not perfect community. We are trying to become what we tried our best to show to them that certain aspects of God's love. Being gentle, compassionate, merciful, dedicated, cordial, respectful. When we say with devotion, because we are being taught and we need to live that out, that when we face them, we are facing Christ. So, seeing Christ in the poor and the poor in Christ.
Wow.
So, yung ganun po yung namin. And then, when they are, sa pagdating po nila sa amin, talagang wala pa silang, tawag doon, hilong-talilong pa. Pero when once in a day na nagkaroon na sila ng trust, kasi po ay siyempre nakikita nila very welcoming, non-judgmental, non-discriminatory, they begin to trust us. Siyan po, ang first po kasi namin program sa kanila ay recollection. Kahit alam namin na hindi sila nakikinig. Pero at least, nadadama nila ang pagmamahal ng Diyos. And then, may follow-up kasi we are team of psychiatrists, clinical psychologists, and counselors, at saka po, siyempre yung sa spiritual accompaniment. And then, may follow-up po yan sa processing sa mental. And then, there they began to regain their self-worth and dignity as children of God. Yun po ang mahalaga. And then, after that, nung pag nakaroon ang masaya po dito, na nakikita namin may hope, ay once they regain their self-worth and dignity, ay nakakakita na sila ng trabaho. So we don't give them livelihood. Katulad na they empower themselves. So they become agents agents of their own promotion and transformation. We just accompany them. Yun po yung siguro cardinal, yung pagkakaiba nung dati sinishelter, ngayon sila, they are on their own and being empowered to help themselves.
Oh, maganda.
So ganun po ang namin. So ngayon, those who are grateful to the community, because Vida Ephraim, the name of the community is Vida Ephraim, Vincentian Daughters. Para po sa kaalaman ng lahat, ito kay kamunduhan ng mga bakla, hindi po sila pwedeng maging daughter of charity or daughters of charity. So, nag-form po kami ng community na nandoon pa rin ang daughters. Kaya, Vincentian Daughters, Empowered Friends, Refuge Ministry. So, kaya po doon. And then, nagsaserve na po sila. So, we are increasing in number in terms of volunteers and servants. So, ang tawag po ng mga naglilingkod sa community ay servant, may level, may servant. So, Tune is our head servant.
Tune, wow, head servant ka pala, ha?
No.
At Tuni pala ang tawag sa iyo.
Kaya po, kailangan, pag head servant, kayo are the servant of the servants.
Yan, ako. Anthony Tune. Ano naman ang gusto mong ibahagi na karanasan ng pag-asa, lalo na sa ganitong mission mo, no, as a head servant, no?
Siguro po, good morning po sa lahat. Marami po ako nakita kayo ng young people, kagaya ng sinabi ni Miss Jessica. So, napakaganda po ng discussion ngayon kasi in the past few days, napakainit ng talakayan sa social media about HIV/AIDS. Why? Sabi nga ni sister, may 57 cases a day ang Pilipinas. 50% ang pagtaas compared to last year. Pababa ng pababa ang mga HIV infected. 15 years old to 34. Ano po yung nakakabahala?
Pabata ng pabata.
Pabata po ng pabata. Nung sinusundan ko po, probably, young people here, nakikita nila yung comment section. Catholic country tayo, modern na ang technology, ang mga basa mo, puro hateful words. Sinisiruin nila ang HIV sa aming mga bading, sa member ng LGBTQIA+ community. Papasahan ka doon ng mga Bible verse, ang walang kamatayang Leviticus na against gay, against same, mga ganong ano. Nakakalungkot po yun para sa akin. Pero sabi nga, lagi may pag-asa. Nung naging bahagi po ako ng Daughters of Charity HIV/AIDS Ministry, ako po mismo bilang isang member ng LGBTQIA+ community, nakita ko po yung pag-asa ng buong pagtanggap at pagyakap sa amin ng mga kamadrihan ng Daughters of Charity. Walang pagkukunwari. Kahit magkulay pink ka pa ng buhok, anong kulay mo? Tanggap po ng mga mahal ng Daughters of Charity. Kaya nga pag kami nagkapakilala, umating kami, we are the daughter of Charity. Ayun po yun, proud kami. To be honest,
siya grandmother.
To be honest po kasi, isa po akong mula po sa Singles for Christ, nagbukas loob sa Diyos, nag-Serbiam, nagdapis. Inikot ko na po halos lahat. Baka ganun po ako. Pero tas may umabot po ako sa punto na naging dry yung aking spirituality. Pag ako'y nag-Rosario, parang binagit kayo ng basketball player, mahilig din ako mag-iikot at ang aking tambayan ay Adoration Chapel. Siyempre gusto ko sa Forbes Park, aircon, ang ganda tahimik. So, ayun po yun. Parang, depende ko anong mood ko, hahanap ako ng adoration, nag-pray. At isa po sa mga prayer ko, Cardinal, Lord, ano yung purpose ko sa life? So, kapag sinagot ni Lord ang prayer mo, minsan huwag kang magugulat. Kasi nung napasok po ako sa ministry to, hindi ko naman to alam. Bading ako, pero I'm not so aware about this. Hindi ako advocate. It so happened, one of my friend, naging HIV positive. I don't want to judge the family, anong reason, tinakwil. The typical story na napapanood natin, na akala ko noon teleserye lamang. Pero na-witness ko sa toong buhay, prominent family, tinago. Tinulungan ko, naghanap po kami saan pwedeng dalhin. Ang Catholic Church, wala pong shelter house for people living with HIV. Meron po isang foundation, the Positive Action Foundation, na-track down ko po, na-trace ko through Facebook, through internet. Dinala ko po doon sa foundation, doon po siya nanirahan pansamantala. And namatay po siya. At na-meet ko po yung mga mother ng Daughters of Charity, HIV/AIDS Ministry. Doon po yung nagsimula yung aking journey sa ministry ito. Kagaya ng binabanggit ni Sister, we started with a spiritual recollection. Nung nalaman ng mother, uy, ganyan, mag-facilitate ka. Nag-start po ako as a facilitator for recollection. Along the way, sinasama na ako ni Sister Ami. Kaya kayo na po yung binabanggit. Sinaiyak ako kasi naalala ko po Sister Ami Torres na mayapa na po siya. Tapos, yung pinalitan, wag naman, Lord. Kasi po, nakakadalawang madre na ako na namatay. Wag naman po muna, Lord. Kasi po, si Sister Ami Torres na mayapa na.
Ikaw ang nananatili, yung mga madre, namamatay.
Yung sinundan po, si Sister M, so pumalit ka Sister Ami, na mayapa na rin po. So, ayun po yung parang, kaya po inano kayo na, so, minsan, nung sinasama po ako ni Sister Ami sa mga hospital visit, siguro yung, ang laki nung binago sa aking pananaw, sa pananampalataya. Una po kasi noon, mag-volunteer ka, kagaya po ng sinasabi kayo na akala natin tayo ang nagbibigay ng inspirasyon. Pero ang katotohanan, pag na-witness mo, sila ang magbibigay siya ng inspirasyon.
Opo.
Kaya doon po natutunan ko na hindi pinag-uusapan ano ang binibigay at gano'ng karami. Pero doon ko na-realize na ano yung intention mo at ano yung puso mo sa pagbibigay. Kasi po sa San Lazaro, hindi po lahat pwedeng mag-outreach. Hindi po pwede kasi yung confidentiality.
Yes.
So bago ka makapag-outreach doon, dadaan ka pa sa DOH, susulat ka, pipirma na ka ng non-disclosure agreement.
Ito yun.
Walang picture taking, wala po. Mag-serve ka ng walang post sa social media. Yun po yun. So,
wow. So, kita po natin, alam ko kayo ay yung iba gutom na, no po. Kasi naririnig ko dito yung kulo ng tiyan ninyo, Ang lakas talaga, no po. At alam ko, siguro, masasabi natin, since the first part nitong heart to heart, no, bawat in-interview natin deserves one session, no po. Talagang ang yaman-yaman na kaya lang because of time constraints, no po. Pero itong sa ating second section, nakita natin po na there are some brothers and sisters who, because of their condition in life, have been considered by society as parang marginal, periphery, marginal, at sabi nga kanina, very visible but also invisible. Na po. Pero yung accompaniment, mga tao who make them visible and people who make them feel that they are not peripheral, but they are the center, no, of their love and their compassion. Diyan po nagkakaroon ng pag-asa. And yung nag-a-accompany, yung sumasama, hindi pala siya ang tagabigay ng pag-asa. Kung sino yung nakikilakbay, siya ang mas maraming nakukuha, natututunan paano ang tunay na pag-asa. Whether sa people living on the streets, sa mga hearing impaired, and those with HIV and AIDS, no po, ganyan. Yung stigma, alam ko yan kasi when I was a student in the US, I did volunteer work sa mga missionaries of charity of Mother Teresa. Meron silang house for those who have been abandoned by their families. Kaya alam ko yung kinukwento ninyo. Pumupunta ako doon mga 3 times a week. No po. At yung iba talagang hinintay namin. Yun ang sabi ng mga sisters. Kapag malapit ng mamatay, don't leave them alone. So sasamahan mo talaga. No po. And akala ko noon, ako yung nagbibigay ng lakas sa kanila. But actually, they were the ones giving us real strength. To all of you, thank you for sharing your stories of hope. At sana po sa mga nakinig, if you are looking for a ministry, no po, please contact them, no po, and be part of their accompaniment of hope, pilgrims of hope, no po.
Cardinal, pwede po mag-iwan ng huling ano sa akin?
Sige, Tune.
Siguro po, gusto kong wakasan tong message. Ang stigma and discrimination, nagsimula po minsan sa loob ng pamilya. Tayo po na sa parokya, sa simbahan, hindi po nakakahawa ang HIV sa mga simpleng bagay. Plato, baso. Ang dami, panagtuturo kami ng HIV 101, ayan ang tanong. 11 years na po ako na nagsisilbi sa mga kapatid nating people living with HIV/AIDS. Nagpapalit po ako ng diaper. To the point, nagpunas pa ako ng dugo. Siyempre, alam ko yung dapat hindi dumampi doon. 11 years po until now, non-reactive po ako. At ano pa yung discrimination? Mismong ako po, sasabihin sa akin ng mga nakakilala, sure ka, hindi ka positive ba? Sure ka. Yung paglilingkod mo sa Panginoon Diyos, yung nakapaligid sa'yo, ayun pa rin eh. Oh. Sigurado ka, hindi lang isang beses nung unang taon, pangalawang taon, nagkapaliwanag ako. After that, sinabi ko, wala akong kailangang paliwanag. Ginagawa ko to para sa Panginoon Diyos. Sana po sama-sama tayong manalangin. Ang mga kapatid natin na people living with HIV, andyan lang po sila. Ang kailangan po nila hindi awa, kundi pagtanggap at pag-unawa. Thank you po.
Amen. Okay. So,
Sasabihin daw po
may sasabihin si Rene.
I want sana po the priest to help the deaf to learn, to experience, to be a priest also, to be nuns also. Because in America, they have priests. But in the Philippines, there's none. No Filipino deaf priest.
So, which is true, no? I remember when I was still here in Manila, I tried to help a woman, a deaf, who felt she had a calling to religious life, but unfortunately, parang and I had to refer her abroad, no, for acceptance, no, in a religious community. I have lost contact with her. I don't know whether she is there's an appeal, pero siguro we can even start with yung during masses and with sign language for the deaf community, no po. Ganyan.
Sana po, Cardinal, because na-frustrate sila because
Yes.
some deaf has a calling Cardinal.
Yes, oho.
Sayang po eh.
Oho,
Sayang.
sayang. I-translate mo sa kanya yung sinasabi mo. Ikaw, Finn, ha? Matagal ko na kung kakilala tong si Finn, kaya ako natutokso. Oho, ganyan.
Thank you. Welcome.
Applause muna for Rene. For Rene. Yeah, para naman sa lahat at kay Finn. Ayan, no, thank you very much. No po.